Alrighty, YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. So 49ers linebacker Fred Warner went on to 49ers Talk and talked about how the team is using the bye week to prepare for, obviously, whoever they will be playing in the divisional round. Obviously, after what happened last night, we know who the 49ers will be playing first round of their playoffs, and it's going to be the Green Bay Packers. So pretty much the pain from last year's loss in the NFC Championship to the Philadelphia Eagles, it's gone, but it's certainly not forgotten. And Fred Warner talked about that, and he said, you always remember those moments. I think it's important during those times like last year in Philly. When you see the confetti going down, you see them with their hats and T-shirts on the stage. They are happy, and you were just standing there kind of watching it all happen. Warner went on to say that he feels like the loss happened yesterday, but at the same time, he feels like it happened so long ago. And he said, I can put myself right back in there in that moment. And the part that sucks is that you can't just blink, and you were right back into having an opportunity to go back out there and do it again. You start from ground one, OTAs, mini camp, training camp. He said you got to build the team back up again, and it feels like just yesterday we were doing that, but you blink and we are here. It's the start of the playoffs, and we are right back where you want to be with an opportunity to do something special with the right type of guys. And obviously, the Niners added a couple key pieces to their roster last offseason, but the core group that lived through the devastating loss in Philadelphia remains. Really, the core group that lost in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs in 2019, really that core still remains as well. Obviously, we didn't have Christian McCaffrey at the time, and we didn't have Brandon Ayuk at the time, but really just that core group of leaders on this team, like those guys are still intact. They're still with us. But he mentioned, to kind of sum things up, he said, I think that's what the scars are for. You remember those moments, so it's like, how can I not give my all into this? He also went on to say, obviously, how can I not make sure it's everything to me, my teammates, and obviously to the coaches? That's what those scars are for. So, it's one thing to obviously lose in the playoffs, but it's also another thing to lose in the manner in which the 49ers did last year. And obviously we are past that. We got our revenge on the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously we got our revenge in a regular season game where it didn't really matter that much, but Philadelphia could very well be a team, obviously, if they win tonight. Then they're going to have to go to Detroit and play, and Detroit's a very tough team. But, you look at Philadelphia, and we could very well be playing them this year again to go to the Super Bowl. Obviously, the only difference would be is we'd be at home. But obviously, the 49ers have to get past the Green Bay Packers before anything. And I think, going into this game, you have the better team. You are the better team. You've had almost 3 weeks to prepare for the divisional round playoffs. And again, you look at the line for that game currently, like San Francisco's heavily favored right now against the Green Bay Packers, and rightfully so. They are the more superior team without a doubt. Green Bay, a lot of respect for them and Matt LaFleur, especially what they've been able to do literally the season following Aaron Rodgers' departure from Green Bay. Nobody thought they would be in the playoffs. Nobody even thought that they would be in the playoffs, let alone win a playoff game and go on the road to Dallas and put up almost 50 points on Dallas. But they did that. So obviously kudos to the Green Bay Packers and Matt LaFleur over there. They did a hell of a job this year, but the Niners have to look at the Green Bay Packers right now and think like their time's coming to an end. And it's the mindset really for the playoffs for the Niners is to kill or to be killed. And there's really nothing else. There's no other way around that. It's do or die football. The 49ers have, again, they're in control of their own destiny. They control how their season ends. And, we'll see what happens tonight with the Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles, but the 49ers are by far, without a doubt, the most superior team in all of the NFL. But not only that, they are the more superior team in the NFC, 100%. So, they can't fall into trap games, and I said this last night, but you can't fall into trap games. You have to be on your A game, and I think if you can do that, and you can take it one game at a time, again, like the ceiling for this 49ers team is through the roof. So it's by far, without a doubt, the best team in the Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch era. It's the best team that we've had, probably since I've been a 49ers fan, just from top to bottom. Now, it's really hard for me to say that this team is better than the Harbaugh team, with Patrick Willis and Justin Smith and Alden Smith and Navarro Bowman and, Deshaun Golson and Dante Hittner, Carlos Rogers and Chris Culliver, and like that defense was so loaded. And then you just look at the offense, Vernon Davis, Frank Gore, Michael Crabtree, Anquan Bolden, and then obviously in 2012 we had the opportunity to have Randy Moss with that group. So, and then you look at the offensive line, man, like that offensive line was insane. Anthony Davis, Joe Staley, Mikey Potty, like that offensive line was loaded, man. And then you look at the inside, Ian Williams, Ray McDonald, like the inside defensive lineman was loaded too. So, it's really hard for me to look at those teams and kind of pick who I think is the more superior team. But I think when you look at it from top to bottom, I think this current defense has more talent on there, or on it when they're fully healthy. And I'm talking about, with Hufanga. Like, we obviously don't have Hufanga, but this defense is just as good as that defense back then. Navarro Bowman and Willis ran the league back then when it comes to, the linebackers. But this year and in today's age, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw kind of run the NFL. So there's so much stuff to talk about, like when it comes to this current 49ers roster. But it's without a doubt better than the 2019 Super Bowl team. They actually have a quarterback. They don't have a wimp, average at best Jimmy Garoppolo. And again, man, they control their own destiny. It's do or die, to be killed, or obviously to kill. And that's the mindset they have to have. And there's no doubt in my mind that the leaders in that locker room, Fred Warner, George Kittle, Bosa and Armstead and all those veteran leaders that we have in that locker room, like they're going to be ready to play. There's no doubt in my mind that the Niner faithful are going to pack the house on Saturday night for this divisional round game. And, we're in a position right now where it's, we're in a very good spot, to say the least. Like, we're in a position right now where it's kind of almost like it's the Niners versus everybody, right? Like that's how every team's kind of looking at themselves in the playoffs. And that's such a cliche thing to say, but it's true. Like, nobody cares about the Niners except for the players and the fans. And the only people that can do something, and the only people that can really prove that are the players. And there's no doubt in my mind that the Niners have learned their lesson when it comes to falling into trap games. There's no doubt in my mind that Kyle Shanahan's going to have that team ready to play. And again, man, falling short for the last 3-4 years in a row, that takes a toll. And there's like the fans, I know for sure, want nothing more than a Super Bowl win. They got to get the monkey off their back, man. 3 NFC Championship appearances in 4 years, a Super Bowl appearance to go along with that, and now you're at a current spot where the Niners are really like it's a very lopsided playoffs right now in the NFC. Like, the Niners are up here and every other team's down here, and that doesn't mean that the teams down here can't beat the 49ers, because it's playoff football and anything can happen. But again, the whole moral of the story is that they are in control of what happens. And again, man, they have to go out on a limb here in next week or this upcoming Saturday in Green Bay and simply take care of business. There's no other way around it. So we will see what happens, of course, but you just kind of wanted to touch on what Fred Warner talked about, on the 49ers talk show and how he is kind of using those previous playoff scars to motivate them. So, yeah, man. Can't wait for the game, of course. I mean, it's in about 5 days. We'll have 49ers football back. So Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. West Coast Time. It's going to be fireworks. It's going to be, it's a do-or-die type of game, and it's, to go to the conference championship game to take on either the Detroit Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, or obviously the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So obviously we'll see what happens. But we have great divisional round games, really, in the NFC. Like, no matter who wins tonight between the Bucs and the Eagles, like, that's going to be a great game when they take on the Detroit Lions. Both teams. Bucs Lions is going to be a great game. Eagles Lions is going to be a great game. Niners Packers is going to be a great game. So, obviously, we'll see what happens from this point on. And obviously, we'll see what happens in the game tonight. But the Niners, man, there's no other better year to go win a Super Bowl than this year. There's simply not. You have the roster to do it. You have the coaching staff to do it. Everything is in place. You just got to go perform. So, yeah, man. And again, I mean, when it comes to this type, like, this team knows how it feels to fall short. They fell short in a Super Bowl in 2019. They fell short in the NFC Championship game in 2021. They fell short in the NFC Championship game last year. Like, this team knows, how that feels. And they're an experienced team in the playoffs. They've won multiple playoff games. But this has got to be the year. It's as simple as that. So, hopefully they use some of these playoff scars in recent years to, to kind of use as motivation to get ready for these next and upcoming opponents. And again, man, like, one game at a time. That's as simple as that. So, as always, go Niners. Again, stay tuned for all the videos dropping this week. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about going into this Packers divisional round game. We're going to have the preview video, of course, more probably later on this week, probably more towards Thursday or Friday when I'll be uploading that. But a lot of stuff to talk about this week, a lot of stuff to cover. So stay tuned, of course. And, yeah, as always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.